everybody, it's Claire here from Sewing by Claire, and I bet you've forgotten what I've looked like. I hope that there's been plenty of content on the channel to keep you entertained whilst I've been away, and I am sorry for my prolonged absence. I think I got myself a little bit burnt out, a little bit stressed about everything, and I just needed to take a step back in order to see how I wanted to proceed going forward. I still want to do the videos, it's just that they may not come out as one a week as you've been used to. I may just have to have a little bit more time between them. I think, by the way, this is going to be one of those videos where you want to grab yourself a drink. So stop the video now, go and get yourself a cup of tea or a cup of coffee or whatever is your tipple, depending on the time of day, and then pop back, because it's going to be one of those long, chatty, waffly videos that hopefully you'll find enjoyable, but it's going to include a lot of what I've been up to, what I've been working on, some project updates and all that kind of thing. So yeah, as well as this apology for saying sorry that I've not been around for a while. Yeah, so hopefully you're all back now after making a drink and not just switched off and thought, oh, we're not interested. But I know lots of you are, because you've been asking me where I am and hoping that I've been okay. So, take a breath, Claire. Gosh, it's been busy. That's the best thing that I can say. We got my mum through a hip replacement in December. And I was over there being the UK. So I live in southern Spain. For all those new people who've joined, and there's quite a few, we're now up over 3,400 of you following me now. So I just want to say a really big welcome as well, and a thank you. You'll see how waffly I am when I'm not focused on my sewing now. But yeah, so my mum had 3 joint replacements, 2 knees, separate left and right, and then 1 hip as well, between May of 2023 and December of 2025. So that's 3 joint replacements in 18 months, which is heavy on anybody. And being as I'm the eldest daughter and the one who's not working, then there was some times that I needed to do my bit as well. I'm one of 5 children, but only I live abroad, and therefore I needed to be around for some periods of time. And because obviously I can't commute and do a day here and a day there, I have to go over for a week, 10 days at a time, which is what I ended up doing. So I was called over in December at short notice because Mum was really not well at all. I think that was one of my last videos that I'd put up, and she was really struggling. So the good news is that she's on the mend. So after 2 really painful knee operations and then her hip, which was a doddle compared to the knees, then she's now up and about, she's driving, she's getting herself out to see her friends, and she's having a better time than she did. She's still not 100% recovered yet, but I think it's just because it's going to take so long for her body to recover and to move forward with that. Whilst we were dealing with that, my mum and dad are divorced, and my dad lost his long-term partner Carol, unfortunately, she had Parkinson's, but then obviously she had other health complications due to Parkinson's, and eventually she passed away. So I was in the UK when she passed away and was able therefore to be around to see my dad and give him a little bit of support immediately after. And then I've since been back again as well and stayed with him a couple of times in order just to see how he's getting it on. And he's doing really well. It's one of those things, isn't it? You know, long-term illness sort of creeps along, and you think people are going to be there forever, and then all of a sudden an infection or something else happens, and unfortunately she did pass away. So he's doing really well. He's got an allotment, which I think I've done a video about before, just as a cheeky little sort of insert, and he's getting a lot of pleasure from that and just trying to keep himself busy whilst he adjusts to his new normal. So that takes a little bit of daughter time as well, because evenings in the winter are very long and quiet. He does have some hobbies, but nothing that consumes his time as much as sewing can do for us. And so yeah, so we do catch up and have some good calls, which is really nice because I can connect with him now, whereas before he was carer and he didn't have so much time before. But yeah, so that was a loss to the family as well. So we had to have funeral and what have you with that. So that's all been happening in the background. The good bit of news well, 2 bits of good news actually. The first bit is that as I record this, there's only 9 days to go until Rob's son James's wife, Sarah, has her first baby, so baby's due imminently, as all those who've been there will know. So we're looking forward to being grandparents again, which will be great fun as well. So we don't know whether it's a boy or a girl yet. They've managed to keep quiet. Well, I don't think they even know themselves. They're waiting until a baby is born to be able to find out. And so that will be a joyous time as well. So there was, I think if you're in my, you may, again, I skip all over the place, sorry. I don't know whether people know about my Facebook group. I've got a sewing support Facebook group. There's details about it. There's a link to it either on the banner on the YouTube channel, or if you go into the About page on my YouTube channel, there's a link there that you can click on to follow. And if you want to share your projects, or you want to ask me some questions, or sometimes perhaps you need a bit of one-on-one time as well, then just join the group. There's 4 membership questions to ask, and anybody who's tried to get through will know they're really easy. 2 are yes or no, or I accept, I agree, which is to the group rules and to not harass anybody in there basically. And then there's one that asks what type of sewing you're interested in, and the other one is where you heard about the group from. So if you can make sure to answer those 4 questions, because if not, you'll get rejected with a message saying sorry, but can you answer the questions? And it's just my way of keeping any spammers out, or those that can't go to the trouble then of answering those 4 easy questions, and I don't really want them in the group anyway, to be fair. So I only want those that are going to want to kind of be a part of it. And you don't have to post, you don't have to share your projects. It's just a better way of being able to contact me and interact with me should you wish. So it makes this whole process a bit more two-way, because at the moment I can only speak to you guys and you can leave me a comment. But if you've got a specific question, or you're struggling with something, I had somebody the other day who was struggling with the full front trousers for Hugh the Hound on Lunar Lapping, and I was able to set up a one-on-one video call with the lady concerned, and we had a nice chat, helped her through the questions. We ended up enlarging the pattern slightly for her, so talked her through how to do that, and then I understand that she's created some trousers that she's really thrilled with, so that's always good. But also, I mean, everybody of all abilities, all sexes, all orientations, I don't mind. As long as you love sewing, then I love you. So that's the only criteria, really. So come along and be a part of the group, and it's really friendly and welcoming. I think we've got about 300 members in there as well. So I can't always get to the posts immediately, so just be patient with me, because it's just me as admin on there. So I'm trying to build, well, not, but am I building it? I don't want to build it so it's thousands of people, because I can't answer that many questions. But it's nice to, if you want to be part of a community, then you'd be very welcome. And we're not active, nobody posts every day. It's probably 2 or 3 times a week that you might get a notification from it. So it's not one of those groups where you get in 50 posts and your phone's forever ding, 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 because I can't be doing with all of that. So, but don't expect me to post every day, because I'm there if you want me, and it's a good way of getting in touch with me. But then I don't need to be present all day every day, which, because obviously you want me to be recording and videoing and doing other things, so that's always there for you. And so I had put in the group, going back to James and Sarah's baby, I had posted in the group that I've been knitting as well. I'd knitted a baby blanket that Sarah asked for. I'll pop a picture up here for you, over the edge of the crib, and it's got knitted bunnies in it, which was really sweet. I'll see if I can find the name of the pattern. I think I got it off Ravelry. It was a free pattern as well. And yeah, I just posted that, and then she wanted tassels on the end, so I made some tassels to put on those, which on the corners. There might be a bit of don't anybody be concerned. I've already said to Sarah that we might need to take them off the blanket when baby gets to the point of wanting to chew things, because I don't want those tassels going in baby's mouth and then the fibres causing a problem. So I'll just take them off. They're not, yeah, they're separate, so I can take them off, and then I can then add them back on again when baby's old enough and not really doing, or toddler is not doing that anymore. So, but I'll let you know probably through my group if we get some more news as to new baby. I don't know yet whether I'll be able to post pictures, because I know my granddaughter Clementine, then my daughter and son-in-law asked for no pictures at all to be put online. So I've honoured that since the day since day one, and so I need to just check after everything's settled down whether if I'm able to. But Sarah's really good because she said to me she's happy for me to make all of the things. So I've got some plans up here for things to do. So there'll be some more baby and children's clothes coming, because as a step up from making clothes for dolls, it's the next logical step before making clothes for yourself. And there's some really, really lovely designs as well that you can get online as a PDF pattern, so you don't need to buy a physical pattern. And then you can print it out at home, stick it together, trace off the size you want, which I would always do with a child's pattern anyway, and then you can cut out from your fabric, and then you can go back to that pattern the next year or the year after, trace off your new size that you need, and you've still got your original pattern intact. Now, you know I'm a fan of that. I've always spoken on all of my videos about tracing off your pattern for the price of a little bit of tissue paper or tracing paper. It really is good value to do that, and it's certainly, I mean, some of the patterns I've got are from 2 to 10 years. Now, the child may not wish to be in that design of dress when they're 10, but at least we've got the option that if they're a larger build, just taller, kind of or wider child, say 7 or 8, then they may find that they actually jump over a couple of sizes, so you need that leeway anyway. So they tend to be quite good value for patterns, and they vary in prices, but yeah, there's some lovely designs. So I've popped up the picture of the blanket. The other thing that I did is my very, very favourite little baby cardigan by Little French Knits. I'll pop that picture up for you here as well. And I made a little cable necked on a yoke, and you start from the neck and then you knit the yoke down until you get to the sort of like the underarm point, and then you divide it, and then you work on the 2 fronts separately, the back separately, and the 2 sleeves, and then just sew up the side seams and add some 3 little buttons, and you're done. And it's just a nice easy pattern that's fairly simple and straightforward in actual fact, but it gives just a lovely, lovely result. So I'm really pleased with that. And then I went on to Ravelry again, I think it was, or I went online and I bought a pattern for some booties as well. So I'll pop that up here for you as well so that you can see that, because the cable on the yoke of the cardigan matched the turnover top of the booties. So I knitted that. And then also in my sewing group in the village, which you'll hear about a bit more about later, in our local village, there was a lady, Carlotta, who was expecting a baby, and she's really sweet and lovely. It was her first baby and she'd had some complications, so it's a long awaited baby, and I knitted a little, she knew she was having a little boy, so I knitted the same cardigan in blue and did some matching blue little booties for her as well. So she was thrilled to get those, which is always nice. So it's good to be able to use our talents and our creativity, isn't it, to bring a little bit of joy, because it was in somebody's life, because it was totally unexpected. She didn't know I was doing it. I don't think she even knew I knitted, and so that was there. And I have to apologise to Cara as well, because Cara was knitting some socks in the group. I think Matilda put up some pictures of the socks she was knitting and asked me for a video on a knitting project. And unfortunately, I'm sorry, but I'm going to stick to the sewing, and I know where my strengths lie, and whilst I can knit and can help a little bit, I'm nowhere near an expert at all. I'm not saying I'm an expert on sewing, but I tend to know roughly how to do things there. So it's not a discipline I'm going to jump into do more videos, because I'm trying to narrow things down, not expand everything out really. Otherwise I won't have time to eat, will I don't think. Did manage to get a chance to go to the gym early part of this year. I think not January, February I did. Had a really good month going to the gym, and then March has gone by the by, because it was Rob's 60th, can you believe? So we went away to a place called Conil de la Frontera. I don't know if anybody knows, but we've had horrendous weather this month. We've had a month of rain basically and thunderstorms, which is great for the reservoir, because we were on a drought warning last year and we had water restrictions, but the reservoirs now are at about 80% full, I think, and they're actually letting water out because of the runoff from the mountains behind us. So that's fulfilled that need. However, oh gosh, it was a long time. Because we don't have central heating here, you have on-demand heating, so you tend not to put it on. But then the marble floors and you know, you don't, there's not so many soft furnishings, so you don't tend to get it, so it doesn't feel so cosy is what I'm saying. And our house is a modern apartment, and so they don't tend to feel cosy either, and it's open plan. So it can be tricky to try and get it all warm and cozy and just that nice snuggly feeling. So yeah, so today is, I mean, even yesterday started off sunny, but then it's gone back on to being cloudy, and we had some torrential rain yesterday, but today so far so good. It's all been nice and sunny. So of course that's the day I choose to come in here and talk to you and close the door and close the windows, but there's no logic sometimes to the way that my brain works, unless I'm talking to you guys about sewing. And then of course it then seems to find its own way at that point then. So let me just cross off one or two things that I've got on my list, and then I'll come back to you with the shortened list, and we'll get started on talking about some projects. Now I've got most of life out the way, I think. Yeah, the reason for the mention in the weather, oh no I hadn't. The reason for the mention in the weather was that we went to Conil de la Frontera, which is in Cadiz, which is just along the coast from us. So I'm on the south, on the Costa del Sol, and I'm equidistant between Malaga Airport and Gibraltar. So that's roughly whereabouts I am. So we travelled across past Gibraltar and up the coast slightly into Cadiz, and went to Conil de la Frontera, which is a seaside town, miles and miles of beautiful sandy beaches. It was beautiful. But we were dodging the thunderstorms each time, and yeah, it spoilt it a little bit, because Rob had chosen for his birthday, he'd chosen a nice restaurant he wanted to go to, where we were right on the beach, overlooking the shoreline, and then it was the right end for having the sunset in the distance there. So as we were starting to eat our dinner, the idea was the sunset came out. Well, it blew a hoolie that night. It was only a short 50-metre walk from the hotel down to the restaurant, but we took the car. You could not use an umbrella. The umbrella would have been inside out, and there was no way you could have walked, because you'd have been a drowned rat by the time you got there. So we had to walk and come back. I've got a little bit of video footage I can pop in for you just here. That was whilst I was waiting for Rob. He very chivalrously, when we came out of the restaurant, went off to get the car and then come back. So I'll pop that in here for you so you can see how wet and windy it was. But then we also had a meal for friends, which was great. Sarah and James couldn't travel because of course Sarah was so close to her due date, so they weren't able to join us, unfortunately, but we do hope in future years we'll be able to celebrate with little one as well, so that will all be lovely as well. Okay, I'll be back in a minute. I'm gonna have a drink and then I'll be back in a sec. Okay, so not sorted out my hair, have I? It's all looking a bit crazy, sorry about that. So I have been working on a few things whilst I've been quiet from you guys. I've still been active in the group, answering the questions and stuff, but I've just not been filming and recording and posting videos. But I'm kind of revving up towards that. I did have a nice sewing sort of interaction the other day with my nephew's girlfriend so Rob's sister's son, Jacob, his girlfriend Ellie, phoned Rob's sister up and said, "How do I sew a button on?" And she said, "I know just the person for you." So she directed Ellie towards me, and so I set up an online call and we did a session on how to sew a button. So that'll be a nice easy little introduction. I'm going to do a skill builder on how to do that, not necessarily for all you guys watching, because I know that you'll know how to do that if you've been doing the dolls and some dressmaking yourself. But I do like to have these little skill builders around just to help anybody who's totally new to sewing, because that can just help encourage them into it. And actually the alterations videos that I've done have been quite popular. So it's worthwhile doing, and I do think that passing on those skills to the next generation and possibly my granddaughter if she ever watches, or you know, somebody else, or Ellie as a reminder if she needs it. And Ellie works really hard. Both she and Jacob are paramedics down in the London area, so they have a really stressful job. So I think she enjoyed sort of switching off for a minute or two and working out how to sew these buttons onto her trousers. And she sent me a picture later on of showing all 3 trousers, and she just cracked on once I'd shown her once, and she'd done it on the other trousers too. So that was good. So that video will be coming soon, and probably will be my first introduction back. But when, please don't just hold me to when, because as I say, there's still quite a lot cracking off that we just need to navigate. So but I'm still here behind the scenes. So one of the things that I have been doing is I've been making a flamenco dress for Clementine. So Clementine is currently 3.5, and I've chosen to do an age 6. Just as a quick recap for anybody who doesn't know, my both of my daughters and I are estranged, and therefore I don't see them, but I do see Clementine, my granddaughter, with the cooperation of my son-in-law Dan, who I'm very grateful to. So it's good that we've got that little relationship going, she and I. And as a surprise, I wanted to learn how to make all of the frills and all the ruffles on a flamenco dress. And so I started it because I go to a sewing class. It's a bit of a way to learn the language, really, and it is working for that. And to learn new skills, and I've never worked with these big ruffles before. And it's a really interesting process. I'll pop you a picture up here of, I've got a picture in a video of Clementine's flamenco dress, because it's in a pale blue, so a sky blue and cream, so it's pale blue background and then cream little dots on the fabric, or quite large dots actually. And then I really wanted to make it pop with something, so I've chosen like a bubblegum pink to go with it, which I know sounds a little horrendous, but I think with some of the flamenco dresses, you could call them a little garish under normal circumstances. But actually, when you go to the fiestas and you see ferias, that's what they call them, a feria, then you see the ladies and the girls in their beautiful, brightly coloured outfits, whether they're embroidered or they're polka dot, or they've just got all of these ruffles and all of these frills. Really, what's not to like? I mean, a lot of them are form-fitting. You can get looser ones as well, and this one's got more of an A-line skirt on it. But with the help of my sewing teacher Marie-Terre in Benavides, then we've been making this dress, and she drafted the pattern for me, and then I've made it up. Now, the thing is, when you work in that way, it doesn't really feel like it's not to my usual standard of finishing, because for some reason, and whether it's the language barrier, I don't know, then the next step isn't explained, so you don't always know when she says, oh, sew here, sew there, or it's aquí, coser aquí, sew here, then you're not quite sure exactly how it's all going to come together in the end. However, as I've said with everybody who watches my videos, we need to just be gracious with ourselves the first time we try anything new, because until you've had a go, you never know where you're even starting, mind about where you're actually going to finish up. So this dress has gone from being quite plain, and then I zhuzhed it up a bit. Now, I might have zhuzhed it up too much, and only time will tell. I've explained it to one or two friends by saying I think it's the kind of dress where every mother is going to go, oh my God, that's hideous and over the top. But then any little girl's going to go, wow, I'm a princess when I'm wearing it. I mean, this thing weighs a ton as well, so hopefully she's going to be a strong little, Clementine's going to be a strong little thing for wearing it. But I just had some fun with it and just let myself go. And because it was up to me what I put on it, then this is what we've ended up with. And so it's been fun to do that and to see it coming together. Not everything's all sewn on properly yet, it's just sort of pinned on, and I may pare it back, I may not. I've got visions of a nice big double bow, one back in the back of it in pink and the front of it in the dotty blue fabric. just to hide the back of it a little bit. So that might still go on it, but there's no rush to finish it because she's not going to get it until she's a little bit older, and I've still got to work out how I'm actually going to carry it across. I mean, I'll end up vacuum packing it, I think, in my hand luggage and seeing how we get on. But yeah, it's been good fun to make it. And these volantes, as they call them, the frills, start off as a circle, a bit like a donut with a hole cut in the middle, and then you cut up one side of it. And then if you sort of think of holding one edge of the inner circle and then holding it out like that, you get all of these ruffles that come from the circles. And I'm looking because I don't know if I've got one with me, but hopefully that's a good enough explanation. And then you sew the sides together onto another circle that's been opened up. And then you can also gather that top edge as well if you want them to be really, really frilly, or you just lay them flat against your fabric and then sort of almost sew them upside down, and then they kind of fold over themselves to hide the seam underneath. And that's been quite interesting. I mean, I always make things more difficult for myself. What I realise afterwards is that they will use the overlocker, and they'll use a rolled edge on the overlocker with a different colour thread or a coordinating thread, and they'll use that on the edge of their volantes in order to give it the colour. Whereas in my brain, I wanted mine to be all neatly finished on the other side, and so I've actually piped the edges of mine. So then I had to buy the string, the piping cord, and then I had to make my strips of bias binding like this. This is the pink that I'm using for the colour, to wrap the string in to give me that neat sort of proud edge. And then that's got to be then sandwiched along that long edge of the circle in order that gives you that pop of pink at the end. So yeah, just make more time. Yeah, oh, this is like a half of the circle, isn't it? This is one that I'd pinned up ready to do the ruffles underneath the underskirts that I've shown you. And then this is the bit here where when you hold it out like that, can you see how it ruffles? So it's straight like that. And this would be cut as a complete circle and then stripped, and then you just sew them on the edge. They've got overlocking on the edge where they've been joined together. And this is actually a longer one that I've cut down, an organza, polyester organza. And then this will get gathered up here, and then that will get overlocked on the edge there, and then that makes that lovely, lovely, very, very roughly bottom to it that they use underneath the bottom of the skirts. And there's some fabulous, I do follow a couple of people on Instagram and Facebook who are designers of flamenco dresses, and the amount of fluff, the amount of ruffle they get underneath these dresses, and the girls are kicking them as they walk, just look fabulous. So anyway, yes, I've been working on that. So that's that. I've got to finish off that. I've got this polyester organza under the top layer and the bottom layer, and now I just need to do the middle layer and get that sorted. So it sounds like it's not a lot of job, but it takes quite a lot of time because of all of the edges and a lot of overlocking. So, but I will get on to doing that. And then I think I'll sew on the adornments and do the bow on the back and call it done. And then I'm not doing any more to that. So that's that one that needs to get done. So let's cross off flamenco dress. Okay. Also for Clementine, I picked up a dress pattern from online, Violet Field Threads. Let me put this close here so you can see that. So Violet Field Threads have done this dress called the Gwendolyn. So that looks really nice to me. It's got a little frill around the neckline, long sleeves. It's got a dipped front to it. If I show you this, you'll probably be able to see it's the line drawing. So I always look at, whenever I'm buying a pattern, I always look at any pictures, but then I'm really interested in what they call the line drawing, which is this one here. Because on that one, you can really see the detail of the actual dress itself and how it sits. So it can either have a straight front across the top front and short and or short sleeves, and then it can also have this ruffled skirt at the bottom as well, depending on your fabric, or just one length skirt. And then there's also an optional neck ruffle as well at the top here. So I'm going to see how my fabric goes and which fabric I end up choosing for it. I had thought I was going to use this Viella fabric, which I think would look really nice in it. If you can see the colours in that are really, really super. So that's what I was thinking for that dress. for her. And she's blonde haired and blue eyed, so therefore that should look quite nice on that score. And I think this pattern, which goes from size 2 to 10, was only a £5. Was it $5? It might actually have been $5, which is about £4, something like that. So that's really good value, I think, for that dress. And I've just printed it out at home. This is what you get when you print it out at home. Oh, I've cut it out already. Let me just see a page. Hold on a second. So you get a page like this, and then you can trim it down, and then you then join it onto the page next to it, and they've got numbers on here to tell you which one goes next to it. So it's a bit like a paper jigsaw puzzle. On smaller clothes, I will actually, like this one, I will actually then, oh, you can't see me, can you? Sorry. I will then cut them down into the smaller pieces in order to trace them before I trace them. But if it's an adult pattern, I tend to keep it intact as a big sheet when it's all sellotaped together. You can get them printed out at copy shops as well, which is often useful, but there isn't anybody near me that does it competitively. And again, always trace it off, so you've always got this master copy then intact for yourself. I mean, you can argue that you could print one out every time, but for me, it's a waste of paper, keep printing it out, I feel. Plus, the time to sellotape it together actually can be, and the effort is actually quite a lot. So, yeah, for me, oh, sorry about the road noise. Yeah, I've left the window open, so apologies for that. But for the time that it takes to tape it up, I can save that just, and the ink on printing out a new one all the time, then I just feel it's better. And obviously you can do whatever you wish to do, but I would suggest, consider printing out all of the sizes in one go, choosing your size, highlight it in a colour of ink if you want to, so you, before you get started with your tracing, so you know where you are, especially if you're a beginner. But then otherwise you can then keep going back to that pattern and trace off whichever size you need at the time. So that's one dress that I really want to get on to making for Clementine. I don't know if a few videos again, you remember my friend, oh, where's it gone here? My friend Lindsay, I wouldn't say I've got that many friends, it'd be so difficult to remember, but Lindsay bought for my birthday, she bought me some fabric like this, which is this blue and white gingham, and she also bought me some white thread, just white embroidery thread, and she had in mind that I would use the fabric to do something called chicken scratch embroidery. And I'd never heard of this before, so I did have to fall down a bit of a hole, as you can imagine, out on Google or on Pinterest, having a look at some patterns and designs. And I came across this pattern here, which I really liked. So the idea with chicken scratch embroidery is that you use the grid of the squares, and then you either enhance the white or play down the darker squares in order to create a pattern. So I started having a go with this, thinking that I would do a gathered skirt for it, for Clementine on it, and then I'd got a pattern from the Tiny Sewing Company for a frilled standalone collar with a bow on it. So it's just a large Peter Pan collar with a frill round the edge and a tie at the front. And I thought a matching paper bag style skirt, elasticated skirt, and that frill collar could be quite nice, because you could put it over a jumper or a t-shirt or just a long sleeve jersey top, and it would be quite flexible, I thought. So I've had a little go. So I've started with this. See if you can see that. Yeah, you can see that all right, can't you? So start off by doing your basic crosses on the very dark ones, and then I've gone back here and then gone round, threaded the eye of the needle really round and under some threads to create these ovals, and then I've done some double cross stitches on others, and now I'm just going over the white and almost doing these little like star shapes into the white, and then I'll go back up here again and do some more of these to finish it off. So it's going to be like a border like that on a skirt, so hopefully you can see it gives a bit of a lacy type of effect. The only thing is that I was concerned, especially for a little one, that these threads on the back here would catch quite easily. And so what I've done is, when I've started, is I've left enough of a hem that when I fold over, say at the bottom of that, this is upside down, so imagine that it's the other way around, this is the bottom of a skirt. So when like that, I've got enough that I can turn over one square here to make a little edge, and that's going to be a bit of a border on the bottom of the skirt. Can you see how I'm just folded? So there's my stitches, the back of my stitches, and I've extended the hem down past, so I folded it over, so I've left a certain amount of fabric that will then, I'll fold back one row of squares to give me a neat edge, and then that will be sewn probably to the top edge of the back of it, and it will just neatly hide all of those threads. That's my theory. The only thing is that when I was thinking about the depth of this band on a skirt, it was a bit overpowering. Imagine that bit's gone, because it was a bit overpowering, and Clementine's asked me to always put pockets onto things as well, so I've got to bear in mind that I want pockets. So I kind of then sort of went off this idea a little bit, but I've found a solution. So I've found a pattern online called the Skipper Dress by Marchant and Mills. I'll pop a picture up here, which is a little girl's either short sleeved I think or long sleeved I think, but it's a little sailor dress. So it's got the square collar at the back and then the ties that come down, not dissimilar to this actually, and comes across here. So it's got the nice wide collar there, and then it's got a little bit here that shows again of your main fabric, and it's got a slightly higher waist and then a skirt on it, which I could then add pockets on. So I did wonder whether, because if this was a dress and then with a lovely white, if I get some white linen fabric, which I've not got at the moment, oh dear, I'll have to go and buy some, then I could make that and make that into the dress to use with this colour, and this pure blue and white should look really quite nice against that white linen as well for the collar. Or I'll get, if I can't find a linen, I'll get cotton poplin or something like that. You need something a little bit stiffer to be for the collar. I don't want it too soft and floppy, and I don't want to really interface it, so I just need to bear in mind that. But yeah, it's kind of looking quite nice, and obviously you could just do a little row of stars like that if you wanted to. That's where I've not carried on my stitching, but you can see how it gives that different effect. But yeah, this is called chicken scratch embroidery, traditionally done on gingham of all sizes, but it's really quite easy. It's a bit time consuming, but it's a really easy way to add some detail and a bit of design feature really to something that otherwise might be a little bit plain, if you can call gingham plain, but I think you'll know what I mean by that. So yeah, so that's a project that is ongoing, and I've not bought the pattern yet, so I'm still contemplating it, because I try not to buy too much. You know me, I'm not somebody who goes off and buys all of the things and just hoards it all, she says, looking at the fabric hoard in the corner, but I'm trying to be a bit more mindful about what I buy and what it's for, and then I just need the time, which is the bit of the elusive thing that at the moment that I've not got. But whilst Rob and I were away in Conia, we went to Jerez as well, and I also picked up this sage green coloured cotton gingham as well. And this one, excuse it being needing to be ironed, because whenever I buy my fabrics, I always just go straight away and overlock the edge, just so it's not going to unravel in the washing machine. But then I just put it in the washing pile straight away and wash it. And then when I know it's got the overlocked edge on it, I always know then that fabric is good to go, because it's been overlocked. It doesn't matter whether it's 2-3 years when I come back to it, I know it's been pre-washed already. But I thought with Clementine's colouring, I did get 2 meters of this one, but it'll either make the Gwendolyn, or it'll make the Skipper that I've shown you, or it'll make what was the other one that I was going to make? Skipper, or the little paper bag skirt and the frill collar. So that will be there. I think that was €7.95 a metre, so probably about probably £5.50 a metre. But it's really nice. I really love that colour as well. That kind of sagey green was really quite nice. And then while I was there, I picked up this little remnant as well, which I think is actually a Liberty print. But there was 0.62 of that. So It's not particularly deep, but again, that one needs ironing as well. I just grabbed them out of the ironing pile rather than put this video off any longer for you, because I thought you're all going to forget what I look like, and certainly forget what I sound like, and maybe you've enjoyed the peace and quiet. I don't know. But for me, yeah, I thought it was about time I was in touch and let you know that I'm still here and still functioning. So that was those two dresses. So let me just cross that off for a minute. Chicken strips, cross. Yeah, okay. So then the next thing that I was thinking about for me, if you know, I love my cashmerette patterns and I've made those. I have found though that 1 and 2 make me look a little bit curvier than I'd like to look, and so whilst I love my Rose Clares and I certainly love my Uptons, I enjoyed moving over to the Fabric Godmother Peony dress, and if you go back on my channel you'll see some videos for those. I think I've got three of those now. And I do tend to make the patterns that I buy 2 or 3 times in different fabrics, different weights of fabric, in order to get the most out of a pattern, because they are expensive, so it's worthwhile doing that. Then I can always come back to those. But this one caught my eye, and this is the Pauline dress, oops, by Closet Core. Now we know I love a nice big sleeve. This is either darts or pleats underneath the bust line here. I love that square neckline as well, which look really nice. And there's little pleats on the neckline here for the bust too. And then you can either make it, I want to say above the knee, but you can make it whatever length you want here on a straight skirt, or you can add this extra frill on the bottom. And we know I love a bit of a frill bottom, and especially being over here in Spain, the ruffles and frills are encouraged rather than frowned upon, so it's not seen as being tacky or unclassy or anything, and so that's why you can add a little bit of a flounce to your dresses, and they look quite nice. But I thought that was quite nice, and I picked up a while ago, you'll have seen this one before, this fabric here, which is a linen viscose, got some beautiful colours in that, and I did wonder whether I could make this dress, so the sleeveless version of that dress. And depending on how much fabric I've got, because I think I've got 1.8 I think of this, and because I'm a curvy girl, so I need a little bit of width on there, so we need a little bit more length, then it might just fit on there. I'm thinking obviously I won't have it too short, because you know I'm 58 years up, I'm 58, 57, something like that. Then I don't want to have it too short, but I just want it to look nice. So I did think that dress in that fabric would look really nice, and so I'll have a look at seeing that. I'm going to toile it first, certainly the bodice first. I always tend to toile my bodices and go a bit more freeform on the hips and length, and see what we can do with that. But I'm hoping that would turn out nicely. And I've also got another 2 fabrics that would work in this dress as well, which are both viscoses as well. So if it works out well and it's a pattern that suits me, and with the peony I loved it straight away, then if this is the same as that, then I'll be able to hopefully make that up in a couple more, and then I would hope, don't promise, Claire, stop promising, I'm hoping that in time I may well be able to then come back and make a sew along video with that one. I don't know if there is one or not already, but sometimes people like my style of doing videos is what I've heard on the feedback, rather than some of the others that tend to jump ahead and lose people. So yeah, so that's going to be another little foray when I can find my time, that we can do. So there's a bit more dressmaking rather than doll making going on at the moment, but I've still got Henrietta Hedgehog by Lily Rose dolls to dress yet, and I haven't finished that. And then I've still got those kits that I promised you all for Luna Lapping as well, which I haven't finished yet. They're going to come. It's really hard to work on a project when you're not feeling it. I don't know how you all feel about this or not, but if it's not lighting your boat, or lighting your boat, whatever, floating your boat, that's probably the one I wanted, at the time that you're going to start and do it, and especially when the time to film and edit and then upload takes so long, I kind of got to be in the mood, I'm afraid. So that is a reason why as well I'm waiting. But if you want to encourage me to be in the mood to get these things done, the best way you can support my channel, and I know most people say, give it a thumbs up and give me a follow, which is true. But actually, just leaving me a comment, just saying hi Claire, or just saying thank you, or just saying have a great day, or I'm struggling with this bit, or whatever, but leaving a comment under the video is a really, really good way of helping support me and my channel, and just give me a bit of an oomph to get things going again. So if you're somebody who doesn't tend to leave a comment, I'd love it if you did. It's not compulsory, and it's not compulsory to be a subscriber either, which costs nothing either. You just tick on the subscribe button, and it just means that you can go onto the subscriptions tab on YouTube, and then my videos will come up as well as your subscriptions. So it's a way of filtering your feed to the things that you're interested in, so it does work well. And if you want to click on the notifications bell so that you get told when I put up a new video, and if you watch a video, if you can just give it a thumbs up as well. That all of those things are called interactions, and for any of the people that you follow on YouTube, if you want to support them without it costing you anything, then that's really is the way to improve that channel's chances of success, really, which, you know, we all want a bit of success really for what we're doing, don't we? But, you know, there's over 3,000 of you now. Come and have a look and see what I'm doing. So something's going right somewhere along the line, and I'm very grateful to every single one of you. I have to say that, whether you give me a subscribe, whether you give me a thumbs up or not, I'm still really, really grateful for everybody who watches my channel. Let me just look down for a second. So I've done closet core, right, I've still got a bit more to go. Sorry if this is really long for you folks. I hope you're enjoying your cup of tea. You're probably on number 3 by now, but anyway. Oh, one thing extra, I did pick up as well, you know, the Gwendolyn dress that I was going to make for Clementine. There's actually a doll's pattern as well for it. So I'm actually hoping that I might have enough fabric left over after doing hers to make a doll's pattern as well for it. Might not be in the same fabric that the dress is, but it'll be the same style of dress. And in future, once if I know that it's something I like, then I can do her a dolly dress to match her dress, which then is kind of a nice touch, isn't it? But I've just saw that one out of the corner of my eye and I forgot to mention it. Other progress, let's do Clementine's Christmas quilt. So the last time I think I spoke to everybody, I was working on Clementine. Oh, it's big here. Ignore these colours here. I'll explain what these colours are for later. So this is a large quilt that I'm making for Clementine. Let me get it the right way around. I think it's that way. Which is a Christmas quilt. So I did make 2 of my 2 daughters' Christmas quilts, and I think that's going to be my thing. I want them to have like my grandchildren as well, to have a quilt that they can snuggle under at Christmas time with their hot chocolate while they're watching the Christmas films. This is the theory. So you'll have seen on other things all these blocks that I was making for all of these, and I've used needle turn applique on all of the shapes. I wouldn't do that again if I was doing a pattern as complicated and as big as this one with all of these little bits. I would just do raw edge applique and then I'd go round it with the machine. But I started off with needle turn, and so I've carried on with that. And it has turned out nicely, and it should stay nice and pristine looking. There should be no fraying of any of the edges and everything should be fine. But what I've done now is, so this top layer, which is just your blocks and your fabrics that you use, is called your flimsy. And so the flimsy is all completed, the borders are all on, and everything's all looking as it should there. This extra bit here, you see, this is the wadding. So this is the fluffy bit. This one's a wool wadding that goes in between the sandwich. So it goes behind the flimsy, and then it goes in front of the backing. Now, this isn't my actual backing. Didn't get my actual backing out. Let me just get it for you. Hold on 1 second. So this is the actual backing that I'm going to use, which is this brush cotton. Because again, the comment that came back a few years ago from my daughters was that they didn't find the quilts that had got the quilting cotton on the back of them very snugly, especially for a winter's weight quilt. So when I did another quilt for me, was it, oh, it was this one, wasn't it? Was it this one? Yes. Then I put brushed cotton on the back of it, and you can get, and they call it flannel in the States, and that really has made that one, as soon as you put that over your legs, you start to feel warm straight away. So I do take their point, which was a good one, and so I think that all the quilts that I make, unless it's going to be like a bedspread for summer weight, will have a brushed cotton back on it. The problem with this quilt for me was that a lot of the quilting that I wanted to do, let's see a bit where I've done some, hold on a second. Oh. So around the basket here, I've used either a pale pink, you can see my little stitches just around, just going around the edge of here, perhaps see them there, no that's not them. Yeah, just round, oh it is on the flowers, I've done some embellishment on the flower. So I needed something that was going to protect the batting or the wadding from my hands and not sort of shred, because that's a little bit more delicate. So I've put a faux back on it while I'm working on it. I've not done this before, so bear with me. So I found some fabrics that I'd got lying around that I wasn't going to use for anything else, and I've just joined them enough to make a backing, and then my stitching around the basket is around here. So you can, I don't know if you can see, you might not be able to see on there, but there's stitching around the basket handle. I can see it just round here. So that's going all the way through there, because I didn't want the pink stitches to show through onto the red. So my theory is that when I finished hand quilting this quilt, I'm then going to layer it up again onto the back, this one here. So this one will be the final back of the quilt. So we'll have, I hope this is all making sense. I keep rabbiting on, and I think I got as close a colour as I could. It's not quite the right colour, but it'll do, I think. And in the end, the quilt will have the, let me just fold this over. It will have the quilted side like that, and then on the other side it will be the red. Now, because this red back will tend to balloon a bit, then my idea is that I'm going to then do something called tying on the quilt, which, because I don't need it to be functional for keeping the wadding intact, because with the wadding or the batting, you generally have to have your stitches say like no more than 10 centimetres apart in any sections, otherwise this wadding, when you wash it, can migrate sometimes. So I've never had it happen to me, but then I don't wash my quilts very often, and so this is the functional backing for the quilt, this odd mixture of colours. And then I'll put this flannel on the back, and then I'll hand tie it probably in the intersections of the blocks, and then you'll have like a tie of knots with embroidery thread, and do 2 or 3 knots and tie it together in a number of places, and it'll give it that, is it like an eider-down kind of an effect? It'll still make it look, it'll look decorative, but it'll attach this back, the red back, all the way through the layers to the front, and then that should then make it snuggly. Are you exhausted? I think I am. So that's what I have done. I haven't worked on this just recently. I've done some start of the stitching, but again, it's a long-term project. I don't have the finances to start a new project every single week, every single day. So I like, oh, another car come in. Sorry. So I do like projects that have a longer term nature to them. I like some quick fix ones, which we'll talk about in a second or two, but I do like the projects that are a bit longer lasting, in order that money's worth is carries on really. So that's going to be quite a big quilt by the time it's finished, but being as I hope she's going to have it forever and she'll be an adult longer than she is a child, then I'm hoping that she's going to love that, and it'll just be something that she can use from year to year when she eventually gets gifted it, that is. which may not be this next year, it might be the year after, but who cares? Doesn't matter, does it, as long as she gets it eventually. So that's where we are with that. So eventually, once they've got the backing on and I've hand tied the all of the layers together, then I will add a binding around it that I've already got cut out. I think that's a stripy binding. And then that will then neaten it off the edges and just make it nice and durable. So, and then it'll be finished. She says, just like that, ding. I need a fairy godmother, don't I, to be able to do that. So let's sort that out. The other thing that I've been talking about, quick projects, is I've been making some more of the Bailey bags by Hannah Walker. I've found those to be just so easy to use and wear that actually I'd say it was my preference rather than using a full-size handbag, just because you can crossbody them, and I've found a way of making the straps as well, in order that you can then carry things in. So if I'm travelling, I have my passport and my phone and my purse in there, so they're absolutely to hand, and then I don't take it off in the flight so they can't get lost anywhere. And I haven't been stopped yet, even by Ryanair, when I've had that strapped across my body and to wear it here. There's a picture here I'll put up now. I've got I think I've got 3 of them now, and I made one for my mum as well when she was laid up as well, which she finds useful. I made one for my Auntie Anne as well, which I'll put a picture of up here for you as well, and for her birthday. I sent her a picture of all of my fabrics I'd got, and she chose her fabric, and so I made one for her, and she's been using hers and enjoying that. And I also made one for a friend of mine, Sharon, as well, and she had the first one that I made, which was in so the 3D square pattern you'll see, then she had a smaller version of that, and I think I preferred the smaller version, but I hadn't got enough fabric to make 2, so she had that one, and then I made another one for me, other one for me, but in different colours. So I've got a leather look jacket that's black with gold zip and things, so I matched the hardware, the swivel rings and the D rings on this last one with the brown one with the black polka dots, in order to match up when I'm wearing that jacket. And I think they look quite stylish, even as even for me. I think that it looks quite on trend to have it, and I don't think it looks horrible. I don't think so. Anyway, I don't think so, so therefore it doesn't. We don't have to worry too much about other people doing what they think and say, but it's an interesting pattern to put together. I wouldn't say it's totally beginner because it's got the zip on it, but it's not so difficult that you couldn't have a try, especially if you tack your zip in place first and do some tacking stitches just to hold that in place first, and then go over with your sewing machine. And she does have a video for how to do it, so I won't be doing a sew along video for how to make that, because she has got a sew along video how to make the Bailey bum bag on her channel. But it's a nice one, and I think it will be good for making for gifts and things as well. It's just you can get hold of your hardware better in the UK through Etsy or eBay than I can here. Been struggling a bit really, especially to get the gold. I wanted some gold, but anyway, managed to get those. So that's that. Bailey crossbody, getting the cross stitch. Now I have been working on my cross stitch. For those that are jumping straight in, I've been working on it's quite a modern geometric design by a lady called Carolyn Manning Designs. I'll pop a picture of that up here. It's a pattern called Carrot Cake, because that's my husband's favourite, and I just love the richness of the colours in this. Really appealed to me. Oranges and browns and greens and deep purples, and then a pop of lime and a proper peach. It's just really nice. And then my progress is this. So I've now extended out sort of like the arms to the 4 edges now, so that we've got some idea of where it's going to finish off. And I don't know whether it's done me any favours or not, because now you look at it and you think, whoa, I've got a lot to do yet. But it's one of those things that that I can pick up and put down, and I've actually put it now onto a frame. So it's on this frame here, which is from my 94-year-old step grandmother. We all call her auntie, but a step grandmother is the true family connection. And I think it was something that she inherited as well from somebody as well. So it's it's getting on, this frame is, but it's great because it's lovely and big, although that can be a problem trying to store it. But it's nice and big, and it's stretched it out nicely, so I can work on it too. So I can put my hand behind and on front, and I can work on doing the cross stitch there. And if anybody's interested in having a go at cross stitch, then you know, I'm not going to promise, but it's in my mind that I could, if I find the time, do a bit of a video just to sit and show you how I do my design, and how I work out what colours, and how I start and how I finish, and then how we count. So that's in my mind as well, because I don't work on linen. Ada is easier because that's a very clear grid, and that's much easier to work on. So if anybody's thinking of beginning, I would work on an Ada fabric. I haven't got anything here but at the moment, but it's much easier. So it's AIDA. But what I prefer is to work on. Oh, so this one was on Ada. This picture here, which one of the first ones I did. But then I moved over to Even Weave, which was this one here, After the Roses by Ink Circles, which I just love. Tip it back slightly if you can see. Yeah. And then this one also was is that one Ada? This one was Ada as well, because that one came with the kit. So on the one that I'm doing at the moment, the Carrot Cake by Carolyn Manning, that is on a even weave, and so it gives a bit of the look of linen, and you don't get the open grid shape that you do behind your stitches on Ada, but you do have to have your wits about you while you're counting your threads. The benefit of even weave is in the title, over linen, is that with linen you get thicker and thinner threads depending on the slub of the fabric, because it's a natural fabric. Whereas with even weave, I think it can still be a linen, but it's been processed that little bit more, that it's all of the strings, threads on it are even, and therefore you're getting an even count over each thread. And for some reason, for my eye, we all know I'm mathematically challenged, so it could be to do with that, but there's just something that my eye just doesn't follow easily on linen, whereas I'm happy with even weave. So I've decided, rather than push myself to try and go onto linen and stitch on linen, I'm going to stick with even weave, because you can get all of the colours. I like the effect that it gives you behind the finished piece of work as well, and so yeah, so I'm going to stick with that. But yeah, so that's where we're getting on with the cross stitch, and I've been doing a bit of that, and sometimes I'll put it on when I'm watching TV. Sometimes I put it on when Rob's watching the sport. Hold on 1 second. Dry throat, what a surprise. And so I can still talk while I'm doing that and while you're counting. What I am liking is that the Carolyn Manning design for Carrot Cake is what you call full coverage. So the whole thing's going to be covered in thread. Quite a lot of time when you're sewing something like this, you get this blank area here, and that there just doesn't have any stitches, and that's where you see your fabric coming through. Whereas that's not even full coverage. None of these are full coverage. So the Carolyn Manning is my first full coverage, and I like knowing that when you get onto a next stitch, you've actually got the right number of stitches counted. So when I was doing After the Roses, which is this one here, when you're counting your empty threads for your stitches, so there's 2 threads to every stitch in there. So each cross of your cross stitch goes over 2 threads this way and 2 threads that way, horizontally and vertically. So the other way around. In order that when you form your stitch, you sort of like got those that cross of those fibres behind you. And with the Carolyn Manning, you don't have to count any empty spaces to get you onto the right place for the starting your next stitches, because it's all covered. Now, whether in time I could just get a background colour and just fill those empty spaces in, I don't know. I use a lot of thread on a lot of designs, wouldn't it? But anyway. So I've got a couple of cross stitch patterns in the background. I was doing another one which was a scene of Cornwall. I've fallen out of love with that one, so that's on the waiting pile. And then I started another one called Home, and that one was on linen. and I've changed my mind about liking the linen, so I will stop that one now and probably carry it on with even weave at some stage in the future, because I still like the design, but it was just took all the fun out of it when you weren't convinced that you were in the right place, and you don't want to sort of be over here and finishing off a bit over here and counting up to your next border, and then count up from this letter to your next border and then find that they don't meet, and then you've got to undo all of that as well. So I didn't want to get into that kind of territory, so that's why that's on hold as well. Cross stitch, crossed off. Okay, so that's that. Connected to that as well at the same time, you know, the Lunar Lapping Rabbit. Well, I did gift my Mary Tara on a different birthday or Christmas a copy of the Lunar Lapping Making Friends book, which is just the Lunar Lapping, just the one with her on, because I'd taken the Lunar Lapping in to show her the little rabbit doll, and she'd loved her so much. So she's now shown the book around, and there's a few people who want to have a go at making them. So last Monday I was hosting a workshop of how to start making Lunar Lapping. So it's going to start on every Monday afternoon now, and we are just making our first Lunar Lapping, and I think some of the ladies want to make some of the clothes out of the book as well. So it's nice that we've no access to the kits over here at all, or the felts. We have to use the fabrics we've got, and so we're machine sewing them, which is my favoured way of doing them, and we're doing them out of linen as well, a nice firm stiff tightly woven linen, so they should hopefully turn out okay as well, which is what I'm hoping. So that's quite nice. But that's the class is all in Spanish. Everybody who goes apart from me, Fabiola, she speaks some English, but otherwise everybody speaks Spanish. So I had to do, so I did a crib sheet, and also I use a translator called Deep L, D-E-E-P, and then a capital L, Deep L, and then I type out what I want to say in English and then translate it. So I did them like an information sheet that said, you know, Lunar Lapping is designed by Sarah Peel of Cool Crafting, and there's a whole website here, and gave them the website address. And I explained that she's not a toy, she's an heirloom item, so she's not designed to be a toy. And also just speaking about the process really, and I apologise for my poor Spanish as well, but we managed to get through the class. I mean, I did have a bit of a headache and I was tired at the end of it, but we did get through the class, so that was good fun. And I look forward to doing that, doing some more of that, and seeing their joy as they start to pull the characters together. There's a couple of pictures I'll have put in here hopefully for you that show you what we've been doing. So that's another thing that I've got involved in, and that's still in addition to the age concern stitching group that I run in San Pedro, which is just one afternoon a month. And again, that's a knitting, crochet, sewing, patchwork, embroidery, cross stitch, whatever you want it to be, anything with any needle of any kind and any thread. So knitting needles, crochet needles, sewing needles, and threads. Then everybody was welcome to that, and that raises money for Age Concern as well. So on all of these things, my time is free, but yeah, that's where we can give back, isn't it? And if we can do that, then that's always all good. So I do try to do that if I can. So yeah, so we're doing that. So we're doing her. I don't think I'm falling foul of anything Sarah Peel or Cool Crafting, because I'm not taking anything away from them, and in actual fact I'm pointing people to their website in order to buy supplies and to buy more books. I'm certainly not allowing anybody to copy any of my patterns or anything like that. If the patterns that they're using are from the book that was gifted to Mary Therese, so that's not my fault, not my concern. It is my concern if somebody's plagiarising a pattern, but the pattern in the book is freely available to whomever Mary Therese wants to give it to, is what I'm saying. So as the owner of the book, so my conscience is clear on that. I hope you agree with me. Okay, and if not, then let me know, because then I need to know, don't I, so that I don't do anything like that again. So Sewing Class Rabbit, covered off that. And then the last thing, just as I wrap up and say thank you very much for your patience, is that Rob and I are off mid-April to Italy for the first time. We've got a week booked away in Lake Garda. We booked it before we knew that the grandchild was due, which is around that time. So if Sarah goes over, then on her due date, then we'll be away when baby arrives. But then we're in a different country anyway, aren't we? So that doesn't help. But yeah, we're going to Lake Garda. I've never been to Italy before, so I'm looking forward to that. And Rob and I are looking forward to getting away and trying somewhere new and just seeing what Italy has to offer. We'll hire a car while we're there and have a good old tour around. Might be the odd fabric shop maybe that I pop into, which would be quite nice, but I'm trying to be really restrained because I have got a pile of things that I could use already, so I'm trying not to encourage people to be wasteful. But if you do want to buy some, then you can. I'll enable you to buy some fabrics. And so yeah, so we got that due just immediately after Easter. I think I could actually, because we'll have some downtime where we're just sitting and admiring the view. Maybe with a glass of wine, maybe with a bit of pizza, you never know. Is it cannoli? Is it cannoli that's supposed to be the dessert with all the cream in all things? There was a book, wasn't there, called, is it Eat, Love, Pray? And she talks in there about eating all these cannolis. I think that's how you pronounce it. I've never tried one ever, so I think that's going to be on my list to try. So there might be one of those maybe if I'll try not to get any sticky fingerprints all over the quilt. So yeah, I hope everything's okay with everybody out there in YouTube land. I hope you're enjoying your projects. I hope you're finding plenty on my channel to keep you occupied and keep you going. Hopefully not getting too bored waiting for anything new to come along, because there's plenty of content in there. I think there's over 300 videos on there, so hopefully that'll keep you entertained. Yeah, we're doing okay. It's been a tough 6 months, to be fair, for all sorts of reasons, but the sun's starting to shine here now, and I think that as I get moving with things, then I'll start and find some more momentum. I seem to have a bit of an issue with time just feeling like it's trickling through my fingers, and as if I've got no grasp of it at all. I don't know whether that's a recognised thing or not, or I don't know, but it just feels like, you know, I think about starting to do something and suddenly it's 2-3 hours later and I'm like, well, where's that time gone to? And yeah, some of it's on my phone, but then, you know, I'm managing the group and have to have a quick look at Instagram and have a look on the Facebook and see what's happening in the designs and all that kind of thing, do a bit of research for patterns. But yeah, just at the moment that seems to be my first thing. So when I grabbed, so Rob's popped out to do some errands today, and I just thought, you know what, I'm going to have a little chat with my friends online, make sure everybody's okay and doing okay. Thank you for staying along this length of time. I'm sorry it's so long, but you know my videos are long anyway, and I hope that I've kept you company with whatever you're doing at the moment. And I'll look forward to hopefully reading your comments below if you're able to leave me a comment, if you're able to give me a thumbs up, and if you fancy subscribing, then please do. I think about 50% of people who watch my videos are subscribers, so you'd think it'd be more really, wouldn't you? But yeah, only 50%, so that's fine. If you want to just click the subscribe button, it's always welcome, but if not, then that's fine too. I'm happy to see you whenever. Okay, my lovelies, enjoy what you're doing. Remember to give yourself some grace, especially if it's the first time you've ever started something or tried doing something. I hope you've enjoyed all the pictures that I've popped in for you, and I hope it's not too long until I'm back again. So I think I'm going to try and keep a bit of a video diary for the, I think that could be quite interesting to see how that pulls together and see the community, and she can have a look at the video later and see who's involved in it and who's pulled it all together. So yeah, we'll see anyway. Right, have a lovely time, have a lovely day. I hope the sun shines on you, and remember that I love all of you very, very much. Thank you very much for being here, and I'll see you all soon. Take care everybody. Happy stitching. Bye.